So in our 1997 study, we had 17 different ecosystem services, and we did a meta-analysis. We surveyed the literature and got estimates of the contribution to well-being of each of those in dollar terms, added them all up. We recognized that there were, limited studies, particularly of some biomes, and so since then there's been a lot more research done. So we've updated the unit values, the per hectare per year values. Almost all of those have increased because there have been substantial new studies. But we also then looked at the change in land use over that time period, and there have been substantial losses of very high value ecosystems like coral reefs and coastal wetlands and tropical forests. And those, so that the value estimates have gone up, but the land areas of the high value ones have gone down, and the net effect has been a loss of aggregate value in the order of $20 trillion per year. So it's a substantial loss of a value contribution compared to which has to be balanced against the gains in GDP. And I think those two things are canceling each other out. We could do much better, if we take these into account. We could create, forms of agriculture that don't destroy the ecosystem services and at the same time produce the agricultural products that we need. Likewise for other sectors of the economy, we could, once you're aware of these trade-offs, I think we can do a much better job of creating, win-win situations. First, we have to recognize that human well-being and the sustainability of that well-being depends on a lot more than simply how much we produce and consume, the things that are measured in things like GDP. So I think once you've realized that and begin to try to measure how much these other assets, in addition to our built capital, our economy, how much do these other assets actually contribute to human well-being? So we're trying to estimate the value, the contribution to well-being of our natural capital and the ecosystem services that it provides. So we did a study back in 1997 that estimated that value at being substantially larger than GDP. And now we're working on an update to that study based on new data that shows that in fact it's substantially larger, but there have been losses since 1997 of our natural capital assets, the change in land use. We've lost wetlands, we've lost tropical forests, we've lost coral reefs. And so there's been a substantial decline in the total contribution to human well-being from that natural capital. And we have to start bringing these ideas on board and build them into our accounting and our policy frameworks if we really want to build a sustainable future that maintains human quality of life going forward. And that's really what the primary goal should be. So for another example is we've been working with an alternative measure to GDP. GDP does not measure human well-being. It measures production and consumption of marketed goods and services, things we pay for. It's one contribution to human well-being, but it's certainly not the only one. So if you start estimating some of the negative effects, the loss of air and water pollution, the costs of those things, the loss of social capital in various ways, the maldistribution of income, so worsening income distribution has an impact on welfare versus income. If you take all those things into account, there's a measure called the Genuine Progress Indicator that does that, and we recently synthesized all of the studies in various countries, 17 different countries that have done that, and it showed that at the global level, even though GDP continues to increase, GPI leveled off in about 1978 or so, and has been fairly flat since then. So continuing to emphasize growth in GDP as a solution to all of our problems is really a misplaced policy, because it ignores these substantial now external costs, things that are outside the market, that really do affect human well-being. There was a recent study by TrueCost for TEEB, the Economics of Ecosystems and Biodiversity, that estimated the costs, the external costs associated with business activities. And their estimate was around $7 trillion per year of external costs that are not incorporated in business accounting books or in GDP. And so it recognized that many companies are really not making a social profit. They're making a private profit, but they're doing that by mislabeling some of these external costs as profit rather than as real costs. So I think we really need to change our whole accounting framework to be much broader, much more comprehensive, something that picks up, many of these other external costs and benefits of things outside the market. And I think once we do that, we can plot a much better course toward a sustainable and desirable future.